And we're back, just as irresponsible as ever. I was going to say just as long and irresponsible, but that wouldn't be accurate.
No, I'm not that long. I'm irresponsible right now.
No, you were fairly bearish last week, as you were the prior week and the week before that, I think. So that all checks out.
But what about now? What about going forward? I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I mean, we're recording this on March 11th. It is Tuesday. Yesterday, we saw a shellacking in the stock market. Honestly, not so bad in Bitcoin world, given what happened in stocks. But I thought at one point the NASDAQ was going to print a -5 handle on the day. I mean, it was wild. I think we closed the day basically down 4%.
It's brutal, man.
Had some more tariff shenanigans. I mean, it's like it's just like South Park at this point. It's just like, Mr. President, we're going to tariff you 25%, and then Trump's like, oh yeah, well I'm going to tariff you 11 billion %. What do you think about that? And then it's just like been escalating.
I thought you were talking about a different reference. It's gone. Our money's gone.
And it's gone. No, it's South Park-esque in that it's just so stupid and absurd that it almost feels as though it's not real life, but it is real life. And here we are trying to deal with it. You want to just let's start with stocks. Let's start with stocks because you and I have both been pretty bearish on the stock market. I think I shorted this. Said it on the show. Still got the little circle where we shorted. So had a nice little trade there.
Well played, sir.
Yes, congrats to all the magic liners who took that with me. But I closed the short today.
Wow.
Closed the short today. I closed the short right about here. That was it. Shorts are off, baby.
It's a nice trade. You nailed the AppLovin put buy, right?
Oh, we'll talk about that too. Don't worry.
Okay. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Just want to give you all the credit for the magic liners.
No, thank you. I mean, NASDAQ, I think at this point, we hit some pretty rock bottom sentiment indicators. I saw we broke some volume metrics yesterday. Put interest absolutely through the roof. I took this trade with options, and I was starting to fear kind of like a 22 style drawdown where the market went down like 30%, but nobody made any money. Who bought puts because it was just this like controlled demolition. And I kind of am feeling a fear that the same thing might happen. I still feel pretty strongly that we're going to the low 17s, 17.1 maybe in like that's probably like the best case scenario. I think for us, I do concede we could bounce here. Like if we were to bounce and go back up, this would be the place. Absent Trump pulling like a complete 180, I don't see that happening yet. But that being said, I do think it's probably a tradable bounce right now. I think it's probably a good place to look to get long some stuff, and I have gotten long some stuff.
What'd you buy?
We longed Bitcoin and Fartcoin. Those are our two main,
that's the barbell
positions at the moment. Closed out the ADA short yesterday. Good timing because it ripped like 8% today. So that's the complete barbell. Mostly a Bitcoin long. I feel like I've got a good feel for the Bitcoin chart, the Bitcoin price action at this point. So kind of did that. But like alts have been bouncing pretty hard today. Although trying to be careful not to mistake one day relief rally for a change in trend. But before I ramble anymore, I'm curious your thoughts on the larger market. You feeling a little better now?
Maybe. I do want to buy here. This is like sort of the theme I want to go with is like buying the dip now. I think it's sort of path dependent on my part. Like we talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago. It's like you eventually have to get back in. So I think this time, like right now, feels like a reasonable time to get back in. Like I think one exercise I was trying to do was like think back to like put myself in my own shoes from a month ago or whenever it was when I said I was selling everything. And I was just thinking like, well, what if I could just get a 10% correction on the S&P? Would I want to buy that? I think, yeah. I think how I'm feeling about what I want to buy is like maybe a little more discerning. Like I don't want to do the barbell really. I just want to buy quality. So what I'm looking at is like the Mag 7 is down anywhere between like 20 and 50% already. And I'm happy going long sort of like the more responsible names in the Mag 7, like Amazon down 20%, Google down 20%. Like I'll buy that dip.
I haven't looked at an Amazon chart in a while. Curious what it looks like here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're looking at this because I was looking at it today too, and I have some thoughts.
What are we, AMZN?
Yeah.
That's Amazon, right? Cool. I got it here. I got it. What's this bad boy look like? Yeah, that is quite the little, doesn't look so bad when you zoom out, but yeah, we took a little dipperino there. 20%. 20% off the high. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting spot. I mean, you've got the 2021 all-time high right below you there. So you're hoping that holds. You're hoping that holds. Otherwise, you're looking at kind of drifting all the way back into this range here.
Yeah, and I was thinking like 20% sounds really good, but then I looked back to 2022 and it dropped 56% in 2022.
Yeah, I think your your downside here is to kind of go back to the mid range or something. So that'd be another 40%. And I do think it's possible. I mean, I'm personally sort of torn between two ideas. One is that we are going to have this like actual like pretty nasty sell off, and markets are going to unwind in a way that they haven't in a while. And yeah, you are going to see 50% drawdowns on some of these big names. You might see like 30% to the downside on the index, maybe in like the 14s on NASDAQ. But there's another part of me that's just like, there's going to be like a little bit of blood and people are going to be losing their shit. And then they'll just be like one of these patented like Trump U-turns, where it's just like, oh, that crazy stuff I said yesterday. No, forget about it. Never mind. It's just everything is off and everything just is opposite. And then we just go back up. So those are kind of the two worlds I'm stuck between. And I think buying Amazon, here 187 or so, kind of in that range is pretty good in a world where we don't go full meltdown, right? But yeah, I think you do have to be prepared to eat another 40% on top of that, which should be pretty painful, but definitely in the cards.
Yeah, I'm not looking to go like all in right now, but I think the point of going to cash is to be able to buy lower, and now it's lower, and you have to buy lower. I mean, you have to take advantage of it. So I'm looking to dip my toes in. I think, I'm trying to remind myself always that like when you're in these pullbacks, there's always a reason to be afraid. There's always some narrative that makes you think like it's going to go lower. And you kind of just have to buy it. At some point, you have to buy.
At some point, you do have to buy. I wonder what that point is. I mean, we talked about the danger of losing the 200-day, I think, last week. And we've very solidly lost the 200-day. And, again, if we just zoom out a little bit and we see prior instances where we've lost the 200-day, it's not good.
It's gotten uglier.
It's gotten like very ugly, often like very, very quickly. So it's like, yeah, this like kind of buy the dip mentality in stocks. It works all the time until it doesn't. And then the dip keep on dipping.
Yeah. I mean, on the other hand, there's this like equity model that I follow that a buddy of mine uses, and it flipped to all cash yesterday. And, I'm basically where you're at. I see these two potential paths. So I'll go in accordingly. I'm not going to go all in.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of operating just under the 2020 model right now, which is that they're just going to tell you when to buy and then you buy. And it's probably just going to be that simple, I think. It's hard for me to believe we just go straight down now because it feels like everybody's so bearish and everybody's so hedged that I don't know. It's just it just seems unlikely we just go straight to hell from here. But I could see like a solid 1 or 2 month like relief rally like happening, and everybody's like, "Oh, that was it," right? And then
it's not it. Yeah.
Then it's not it, right? And then the pain comes. And
does it concern you at all that like Trump's rhetoric has like definitely changed from before, where it seemed like he was using the stock market as his like personal barometer of his success as a president, and now he's changed his rhetoric to say things like, "Oh yeah, expect a little short term down market, or don't look at it." You know, it's completely different.
I mean, of course, that's concerning.
Yeah, I think that to me is the one thing that feels like, all right, this is going to get pretty bad.
Yeah, and look, we say don't fight the Fed all the time, and I think we said last week. Now it's don't fight the Fed, don't fight Besant, don't fight Trump. It's like a three-way don't fight.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of headwinds if you're buying here. I mean, that being said, like I still remember near the bottom of that 2022 crash, and I remember being near the bottom of the Bitcoin crash. And at some point, you do just have to start like clicking the buy button, even if it's in small size, because it's very hard to get the exact bottom. And often you look back and you're like, wait, why the hell didn't I buy Facebook here? It's like up 100% now in a matter of months. Or why didn't I buy more Bitcoin at $14,000? Like,
right,
what was I thinking? There's always a reason. Yeah. And it's, you're just always thinking it's going to get worse once it starts getting bad.
And if you also believe that narrative follows price, I could easily see like a bounce here, and then some narrative comes out that says like, oh, there's a ceasefire in Ukraine, or there's some, tariff thing is off the table now. It's always like that.
Yeah. You never know what the catalyst is going to be. It's just like at a certain point in time, the positioning just gets so crazy. Everybody's on one side of the boat, and the next thing you know, whoop, and it's gone. And it's important to point out. I think like the 2023, we had a pretty bad drawdown after that rally. We're pulled down like 13%. I remember after that big move, and people were like, "Oh, that's it. That was the complacency bounce," and now we're going straight back down again. And the chart looked ugly. If you had technicians saying like, "Oh, this is a bearish market structure break," and then just later straight up, and that was a hard dip to buy. That was definitely a hard dip to buy. We had a nasty dip last summer. That was a pretty bad dip right there. 18%.
On what is that? On NASDAQ?
Yeah. Like I feel like people barely remember this happened.
I forget. Like I just felt like it was up.
I mean, this was the yen carry unwind, I think, right?
Yeah. Okay. Seems like it's still a thing.
And it's a kind of a similar setup to what's brewing right here, where you had that nasty dip, but it was sort of just a dip into your last kind of demand zone, right? We never actually broke the low that low held, and in retrospect, you're like, oh, that was obvious. We just clicked buy at the 200-day, right at this support, and we go back up. But now we don't have that nice little fun moving average to hold us up anymore. Now we're getting getting really below that thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's that easy again. Like maybe we just go to here and it looks really nasty, and then at 17.5 it just yoinks back up. So I think you got to buy some here for sure. Like I think if you get the mid 17s print, you for sure gotta click the buy button there, because that's just so juicy. It's so juicy.
I also don't know if
negative 20% there.
I don't know if I am a fan of like going far out on the risk curve either when it is time to sort of like buy again. Cause like I just don't, maybe it's like a whole year long sort of sideways kind of shit market.
Yeah. I mean, the big fear is you pull one of those kind of multi-year range bound markets we had in the I mean, I feel like we had one in like the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, I think, right? Just sideways range bound for years. I mean, just horrific.
2000s were like that in tech, early 2000s.
Yeah, people always forget markets can just go sideways. There's just like tendency to think, oh, the market stopped going up, so now it has to go down. And it's not actually the case. Like it can just go sideways, and it can sometimes go sideways in quite a large range that drives you freaking mad. I mean, if you've traded Bitcoin, you know that feeling. But that Bitcoin range that drove people nuts, it lasted just like a few months, right? Imagine years of that.
I mean, imagine what would happen
brutal.
to sort of like the vaporware if we go sideways for a long time. I think it would just flush out sort of all of that.
Yeah, a lot of vapor in the market. I mean, but like it's just not my base case. I mean, my mental model is that they're not going to just run the entire economy off a cliff and blow everything up for no reason. They can save it, and they will save it. And the way that they save it probably does end up blowing it up at some point, because, we're basically talking about like rigging the game to just like pile on a whole bunch of more debt, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like
it's just
a major
big can kick.
Major can kick. And that's kind of that is going to screw us at some point in the long run. But that just makes me want to just focus on the Bitcoin trade right now. Start thinking about buying Bitcoin. I mean, I did buy a coin, down here, like 78 or so, I think, because again, I just want to flex that muscle. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not the bottom. But like, man, it sucks when you buy nothing.
Yeah.
And you look back and you're like, oh God. But I'm thinking multi-year trade now for Bitcoin. I'm thinking if I can get Bitcoin in the 70s, 60s, 50s, I mean, maybe 40K if things turn
40?
really, really, really sour.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think like 42K is for sure in play on Bitcoin. I think if we do get like the full drawdown on stocks to where was I looking? Maybe in like the 15K region, that's like another 23% down in the stock market. I mean, it's pretty easy to imagine Bitcoin going down like another 30, 40, percent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that'll be sniffing the high 40s at that point. You really don't want to lose like 50 on Bitcoin, because then you've kind of broken the higher time frame market structure. And then once you do that, you could be in for like a really long sideways move to kind of like fix that, repair that structure. But like right now on the Bitcoin chart, I mean, if you pull up the Bitcoin chart and just zoom out a little bit on the monthly, I mean, everything looks pretty good, right? And this is your protected low here right now. And this is 49K. So anything above 49K, like, we're chill. It's just a pullback. If you live in like a high tax jurisdiction like we do, it's probably prudent to just start taking like a really, really zoomed out view of this. And if you kind of are grokking with this idea that they're going to crash everything to kick the can and basically just juice the debt up even more, I mean, it's all just so bullish Bitcoin in the long run. And like I do view this as like a trade I could hold for years, and to get that, to lock in start thinking about cap gains. I mean, that to me is the trade. I'll buy some stocks, but like, I just have so many questions. I have questions on stocks, right? Like I don't know what the outcome of this tariff policy is going to be. I'm kind of in like a let them cook mindset right now. I'm like, all right, let them cook. Let's see how it shakes out. It's interesting that people are trying different things. Stuff is clearly broken. I don't know if this is the way to fix it. Maybe it is, right? But there's a risk factor, I think, that they do break stuff in a particular way, and stocks end up going through a bit of a wandering through the desert period. But like I know for a fact that these politicians are going to end up sending Bitcoin to the moon.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to do the one thing they would have to do that wouldn't send Bitcoin to the moon. Like nobody's going to do that.
I agree. I'm also wondering more in the near term. It's like a question that just came to my mind is how Bitcoin is like really a global asset. And we're seeing liquidity increase in certain jurisdictions, like in Europe and China, and those equity markets are rallying while the US market's going down. Like maybe Bitcoin actually outperforms the S&P if the S&P draws down.
Yeah, it's possible, man. I mean, you have a day like today where Bitcoin's up 5.8% today, NASDAQ down 0.3%. I mean, this is the stuff people dreaming about for a long time. And I do think it's probably a bounce on Bitcoin, right? I think we could get a pretty sick bounce though. You know, it would not shock me if we moved back up to like 100K and then did one of these. Not going to shock me at all. I think the thing that could make this happen for sure. I mean, there's a couple of things, right? Like alts, especially, I feel like they've been like completely washed out, right? Like nobody owns these things anymore. They've been nuked to hell. We now have CPI this week, and we got FOMC the week after. And then I think you were talking about big OPEX.
Oh yeah,
in the Discord this morning. And you were saying that this has been like a historically kind of interesting bullish window before the sort of sell in May, go away paradigm.
Yeah. Well, it kind of like comes right after this period of high volatility and like negative performance in this like February to March OPEX window that's been historically pretty bad. And then you kind of get like a rebound afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like, I wonder to what extent people sort of already got all the tax selling out. We front ran it a little bit. And now we have these bullish catalysts, at least in the near term. And if you look at, if you plot like all the FOMC dates on the Bitcoin chart, and my indicator to do this, unfortunately, is broken for some reason, so I can't do that for the audience. But if you plot all of the FOMC dates, and often you just rewind like a few days, these dates they have like an incredibly high correlation with like major tops and bottoms in the market. So OPEX, FOMC, CPI, all of this is aligning pretty nicely after Bitcoin is sold off about, was this like 30% we sold off from the top? 30% drawdown, right? Which is kind of like your bull market pullback.
That's pretty normal for a bull market, right?
Super normal. It's like standard, and it's kind of like the magic number around which like a lot of these pullbacks end up reversing.
I felt like I will say down 10% was the same. It's like that's what you get.
Yeah, I mean the downside on Bitcoin, right? The bear case. We did kind of lose the MA bands this week, the weekly MA bands, which you never like to see. Usually that results in some chop at a minimum. The 200-day we lost yesterday, I think, or the day before. Not great. So I still am biased towards like putting in a low, like a new low around summertime, I think. But in the meantime, I think there's a really nice tradable window here, and I plan on taking advantage of it. Like I said, I am long. I'm long Bitcoin, and I'm long some garbage. And I think a lot of stuff here can have like a really, really face ripping rally. And then maybe present some nice juicy short opportunities in the coming weeks or days, however long this takes to play out. But I would not be surprised to see some big altcoin gains.
Speaking of short opportunities, you seen any other juicy ones?
Okay, so I've got my eyes on a few things for shorts right now. A few things. I mean, we talked about AppLovin last week, and that was a very well-timed episode because this thing just fucking fell off a cliff
Yeah.
Like immediately after we recorded, it went down 33%. So
beautiful.
Beautiful. That's the stuff dreams are made of. I am looking at some stuff in crypto for sure. There are some pair trades I'm already in that I want to maybe increase. Like I've been short Matic Bitcoin. I just think Matic is just the worst coin ever. It's just so useless and so trash. And it's just been like a fun whipping boy to short. And all these things are just going to zero against Bitcoin. But I think there's going to be some other good pair trades that probably emerge in the coming weeks. There's some memes, I think, that are going to present an opportunity. Like Pepe in particular has been a coin that it's been like my white whale. Like I've been short this thing like 3 different times and missed like the big move like every time because it just can't seem to stay on the freaking horse. But I like zooming out on Pepe. I think this thing is just mega cooked, like mega cooked. Like we had this really, really insane trend line break. And I think this thing rallies right somewhere and just completely rolls over.
So is this so Pepe is a meme that's on ETH, right? So is this correlated to the price of ETH as well? Like if ETH goes down, this thing goes down, or?
Yeah. So Pepe does tend to have like a little bit of an ETH beta component to it. And it's interesting to me that it hasn't done like a full mega capitulation yet. But that's why it's kind of like an interesting short trade, I think. And like you saw this, for example, with Hyperliquid. So Hype was everybody's darling, right? Everybody's just talking about like all the strength on Hype. Hype was so strong. Right around here, in February, like a lot of stuff was already completely shitting the bed in the larger market, right? And everybody was talking about how great Hype was. This is another coin that this was like my worst trade of the year because I shorted this like here with a stop here. I got ticked out. I did sell all of my Hype at $26, so I'm gonna chalk that up to a victory. But like similar thing where you have kind of all this like trend line liquidity sort of building up. Everybody's been taking refuge in the strong coin, but then like ultimately it pukes along with everything else. And this thing puked hard. I mean, it puked very, very hard. It down, over 50% from that little complacency shoulder here. Now it's kind of an interesting area to maybe think about buying in this little demand zone, if for just a bounce, right? But I think the similar thing has happened with Pepe, where like you've had this kind of full scale capitulation in the meme market, but like actually Pepe hasn't nuked that bad yet. I mean, it's down bad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this thing's down 75%, but like a lot of memes are down like 96%.
Yeah. It looks like
that's a big diff, right? So if this thing rolls up back to, I don't know, call it 9 or whatever, and then ultimately revisits this, like that's the 87% move.
Damn.
Right there for like the full scale PEP capitulation. So I am I'm gonna get this stupid thing.
And would you look to pair trade that with Bitcoin, or would you just short it?
No, I want to just like straight up naked short this thing.
Okay. That's conviction.
I mean, this stuff is just like worthless. It's so beyond worthless, turbo worthless, and none of the conditions that allowed these things to exist anymore at the moment, and they're all gonna die. They're gonna die very, very, very quick and painful death.
Sorry, guys. Shit.
Okay, this is like a Murad's coin. This is a SPX 69. This has been one of the stronger ones as well, but it's still down 82%.
That's weird that's 82%. Based on the chart, it doesn't look like that much.
It's because it's a log chart.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
These things look a lot worse once you put the log chart on. But yeah, I mean, Popcat. Oh my God, Popcat's been brutal. I mean, entire move gone.
Damn.
Right. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I think Pepe is here right now.
I agree. Yeah.
right? Like Pepe is this sort of like a trend line around here, right? And Pepe has sort of just broken that and maybe coming up for a little bit of a test. But like this thing dumps again. Like this is what I was saying with Pepe. This is 85%. That's about what Pepe has to go back to kind of like its origin demand, right? And it's just air. It's just air in between. So definitely on my radar for shorting. But the other thing that's on my radar that I wanted to run by you as an interesting short is our friend Tesla.
Oh man, I'm long this name. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we were talking about this a few weeks back, right? And I remember us talking about it like in early January, and I called out this sweep. I was like, you don't want to be buying range highs with like these sweep candles because usually you go back down to the bottom of the range, or you at bare minimum sort of like explore the mid range, right? And this is a nasty move. These types of moves where you get these bullish fair value gaps up, followed by like the bearish fair value gap immediately down after running the high, like these very frequently give you the range lows. Right. And if I zoom out on the Tesla, it's funny because we were talking about being bearish Tesla. I remember way back in 23. And I was saying like, God, I just feel like this thing is going to $40.
You're going to call that again?
I still kind of feel like it's going to $40. Like it looks very bad.
Okay. So it probably does go way lower if we get like the bloodbath in the stock market scenario. I mean, this is like the fastest horse of the Mag 7 in basically in either direction.
So let's talk about why this could die. I mean, it's dying, right? It is dying pretty hard. It's down like what, 55% from the top? Yeah, 54% right now in a span of weeks. I don't know. We've seen this. Like, we saw this with stocks like on the left part of the political spectrum, right? We had
Disney,
like Anheuser-Busch, Target, Disney, the kind of go woke, go broke phenomenon, right? Tesla has become a political stock,
it totally
right?
has.
And whether or not you agree with Elon, I don't think it's relevant. I think like the danger of becoming a political stock is that you divide your customer base by two.
Did I tell you the story that I went out to dinner with my parents' friends and they're lefties and they made a comment explicitly about that? They're like, thank God I didn't buy a Tesla. And I was like, don't look to your left. That's mine.
I mean, it's I don't know if you've seen what's happening in the world right now, but there is just straight up like it's basically domestic terrorism against like Teslas, right? You've seen people like shooting. There's been dealerships that people have shot up. Somebody lit like a supercharging station on fire.
Wait, really? I didn't even know.
Boston the other day. Yeah. You go online, you see all videos of people just like, there's a guy driving a Cybertruck in New York City, and some guy just like comes up next to him and just bashes his window in. And yeah, there's like a sort of real visceral hatred of Elon on the left right now, and it's being like targeted at the Tesla brand. So I actually saw Trump right before we came on and recorded. Like he basically said he's going to declare acts of violence against Tesla property, like domestic terrorism, right? So this is just full blown politics now. And is like the right gonna step up and just buy all the Teslas?
No, the right doesn't like electric cars.
I think the right likes anything that owns the libs, to be honest. So
yeah, that's true.
I actually think the right will buy the shit out of electric cars as long as they become a symbol of like owning the libs, and they will do that. And maybe like there's maybe like the automobile market is so divided that like if you get just a little bit of incremental demand from one group that goes all in on you, maybe that's enough to actually just drive like tremendous demand for your product and save it. But I don't know. Like I feel I feel like this cultural headwind where even people who don't necessarily like hate Elon, like do they want to be walking around, driving around these cars and like, oh God, is somebody going to smash my window in? Is somebody going to think I'm like a freaking Nazi because like I have a Model X or whatever stupid thought?
Yeah.
Like how much marginal demand destruction does that sort of drive?
I think it's a lot. I think you're probably right. And what's worse, I think, for the stock, it's like just another reminder that this is just a car company. And when people are reminded of that, it's like it just looks so overvalued even now. I think like this thing basically trades on a promise of a dream. And when people buy into the dream is like self-driving cars and robots in your home and shit like that.
Yeah.
And, that dream is like not a reality right now.
Yeah. So yeah, there's kind of like an ugly, I think, would you call this? I mean, I would call it fundamentals, since I think it is like a physical, like fundamental factor that is sort of driving economic behavior. I think it's definitely a real thing. And the chart looks very bad. I mean, this basically just looks like a Wyckoff distribution on like a very, very multi-year time frame. Now, the danger with like calling this Wyckoff, right, is like you can kind of like have this move down, right? And then you can get the up thrust after distribution move. This thing can go to like 500 something, who knows, and then completely die. For me, it's like an interesting trade to at least like 182, but probably the 2024 low, 138. I think that the bounce in the stock market that we're going to probably see over the coming weeks, Trump just bought a Tesla today. Trump is pumping Teslas now. Like to me, that like seems like a good catalyst for like a bounce that we can probably short into at some point in the in the near future, maybe.
Yeah, you'll probably get a good price, a good entry to short, because this is sort of the fastest horse. If we do get a bounce in the broad market, this thing will probably zoom higher.
Yeah, and like it's kind of tricky, like where exactly to get a bounce to, and when you have like this sort of formation. And this is basically like a monthly BPR. This like wrap it in, wrap it out, kind of on a key level. Like sometimes these don't actually retrace that much. Normally I would just like enter on a close of this candle, right? Once I close the candle below the order block that ran the high, like that's I usually just straight up take the trade there, because often these things, like I said, they go straight down. And they just go straight to the other side of the range, and you don't get the entry. But I am kind of like okay just missing the trade completely if I don't get the bounce. But if we get something kind of up into the, I don't know, like 330 range or something would be kind of ideal for me. If I can take that down, say from here to this quarterly low at 182, maybe the 2024 low 140. I mean, that's be a nice move. I mean, it's probably like a 60% move from that entry to the target. So I think it'd be like a really wild trade to take if it presents. So
I like that one.
Yeah,
I like
put that on the watch list.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to go to $30. That's pretty bold.
Oh yeah, I mean, it does feel ridiculous. It does feel ridiculous. I'm not going to lie. Would it be the first overvalued stock to lose 90% of its value, though?
Hell no. No, it could happen.
Wouldn't. I mean, what is that move in totality? Like if it goes there, 92%?
Bankruptcy, basically.
I mean, that'd be wild. Hard to imagine, but like, fuck, it looks so bad. It's an ugly ass chart, dude. Ugly ass chart. I do think there's a chance. There's always a chance, right? You just kind of like run these range lows and put in some bottom and go up. But even then, you're looking at 80s. That's still pain.
Yeah.
It's still mega pain. I mean, 80s is still like 80 something percent drawdown. So yeah, kind of wild. I wonder if Elon is having some regrets right now.
I like going defined risk if you want to short this thing. because a lot of smart people have made some grievous errors shorting this name.
Yeah. There's always the it's like shorting the shitcoins, man. It's like, yeah, you know the things are with the shitcoins, you know they're valueless. Like, you know they're going down, you know they're going to zero, and still they're very, 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 very hard to short because you can get your face ripped off super, super easily. Which is why I like doing this via options, probably.
Yeah, long put. That'd be a good one.
Just keep it, keep the risk managed, and we should be good.
Yeah, good call, man. I like this trade.
All right, cool. Glad you're into it. Got anything else for me?
No, I'm just lurking in the shadows, waiting to buy stuff. Not really ready yet, but I'll let you know when I buy.
Thanks. That'd be great. we'll let you guys know too. I am probably still like 60-70% cash right now.
Yeah, same.
Sitting in cash, waiting like a lion.
How about ETH? Is ETH something that you want to buy ever?
All right. Let's end the episode with a good old fashioned ETH bashing session, shall we?
Come on, it's going home. Is it time?
Oh my God, where is home on ETH? The eternal question. ETH is just, it's so ugly. I mean, it's at I mean, I've been calling for like freaking 1,700 on this thing for a while now, actually, and we finally tagged it, right? And I think a lot of people want to buy this zone, and it may end up being like a pretty good trade still, right? Because I think if you look at what's happening here, this is basically a range, a red box there, right? It's a range. It's ranging above like a pretty critical demand area. So I do think buying like 18, right? There's a pretty good chance you can take it up to at least like
the mid,
like 29. I mean,
so that's like a manipulation lower that you can ride a bounce on, maybe.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd call it manipulation. I guess it is in some sense, but this is just you. You got distribution, right? You tap into some unmet demand. That demand pushes price higher because those buyers haven't bought yet. But ultimately, it's not enough, and then you roll over. So I think it's a really interesting spot for a trade, and I think if you are trying to be safe, right, you can kind of just not even target the mid range. Maybe you just target like this order block here. Like 2026, 2700 is like an interesting trade. The problem with ETH comes when you zoom out and you start to really think about what's going on here. I mean, this is basically like a high time frame double top, right? My general rule of thumb is that double tops run the low that put in the.
Is that low?
The top
triple digit low.
It's like, this low is 892.
Oh my God!
Right, but if there's also no reason for price to stop at that low. There's not. I mean, because if you, I mean, this is super nasty. I mean, look what you have. You have a double top, right? But the double top is like, it's like two triple tops. It's like how many tops can you fit into one chart? I see your double top, and I raise you a double triple top. So, I mean, it looks really, really bad. It looks pretty bad. Like if you zoom way out and just like if I showed you this chart and this was just like a 1 minute chart, right? Just free your mind of the bias of the price and the asset or whatever. Like it's just the chart.
It looks like higher lows to me.
It's like, what do you see here? I mean, like what I see, well, there's your prior range high. But like what I see is this is demand here. This whole area from $79 to $1,400. It's basically just like a ginormous order block. right? It's just a big old order block, right? And the price closes outside the zone. Very frequently you tap the high of the zone and then you want to go higher, right? But once you tap the top of the range and then you fail to go higher, what price usually wants to do is go back to the mid-range of the zone, right? And then if the mid-range doesn't work, then we start going to like the origin.
So what's the mid-range level?
So the mid-range here is 341.
Oh God.
I know. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. I mean, 341, smooth negative 93% from the prior all-time high. Is that possible? Yeah,
It's like what Solana did, basically.
It's definitely possible, dude. Yeah, Solana did that. Solana did that for sure. It's funny because I was like eyeballing this area when things were really ugly back in 2022 and people were like, had no idea how low this was going to go. Like it was really ugly. Like I was eyeballing this little demand here, had my eye on that. And it was an interesting level to me because it was like sort of like untapped demand. This is basically the demand that broke the prior all-time high. And it's just sitting at the mid-range of all of this. So yeah,
Godspeed, everyone. Jesus.
I know it's kind of rough to sit. It feels dumb to sit around at like 2,000 and call for like $300 ETH, but there's no reason it has to go there. But like that's totally within the realm of normal, right?
We'll just we'll watch the candles and we'll see.
Yeah, and if that doesn't hold, then you go to 160. I mean, what is the value of ETH at $380?
The market cap, or
it's about 20% the current market cap. I keep losing the market cap of ETH because it just goes down so much.
Right. What are we at now? 400 billion?
234 billion.
234. Yeah.
So that's still, I mean, it's still like $48 billion. It's not like an insignificant sum. So yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. I still hold on to the thought that like maybe we can just kind of maybe revisit the 2017 all-time high, maybe dick around the top of this range a little bit, then go back up. Still possible for me, but like I think you have to be very prepared for some super ugly shit. And the ETH BTC chart is long ago sort of blown through my like this is the last chance for reversal kind of area. Like this is so bad. This is so bad. The next zone I have on this chart is 0.013.
Ugh.
So that's another 43% down.
Yeah, and imagine Bitcoin goes to 45K or whatever you said.
Yeah, I mean, let's do the math on it. I guess let's do the math. What did I say? That's 45% down. Bitcoin, I think, definitely can go 56K or so. So that's 31%. Right. So 0.31 divided by 0.45 is 68% down in ETH. So 0.32 times 1900. What do we got? 1900? 418.
Right at the mid-range almost.
So yeah, like you can see how this, you can see how the math does actually math here. The math be mathing. The other side of this coin is that maybe Ethereum is just the greatest reverse long of all time. Still, maybe an Ethereum bounce, if given, maybe we bounce. Like I feel like if for some reason this thing sniffs like 3K again, which is possible, it's possible if we get a little nasty run up, little stupid alt season. If for some reason that were to happen, I don't think we go that high, but I think even at 25 or so, whatever. It's very appealing as like a generational short, as sad as as sad as it feels for me to say that. I wish it weren't so. I wish that the coin was led by competent people. I wish they adopted less of a soy boy attitude and more of like a Bronze Age mindset. But I don't think we're going to do that. And I think a full scale like Omega capitulation will be pretty good. Will be pretty good for it in the long run. But
right. Well, we'll be there. We'll be there either way.
Yeah, we'll be there. I'm kind of curious where Ben Cohen's where the bottom of his home is.
I remember when the mid range of the home was right about 1700. So maybe the bottom is not that much further.
Yeah, I hate it, Eric. I'm not touching it with a 12-foot pole right now.
All right.
There's probably no safe trade on ETH unless you're longing like above 4K.
Wow.
I just don't think you can feel safe. Unless, like I said, you're just longing for a bounce here, in which case I think it's good. I do think you can get a pretty sizable trade in here, but
this is the tough love people need. I mean, this is why people need to get in the magic lines.
Yeah, I tried, bro. I tried to love this coin, and I tried to get people out of it
Yeah.
once it ceased to be a good investment. But it's over. It's over. We got to move on. We're all Bitcoin maxis now.
Feels okay. It feels okay.
All right. Well, on that note, let's that happy note. Let's wrap the pod up. Good chat as always. Reminder: if you guys want to check out Magic Lines, we get a 7-day trial now. So magiclines.xyz/IL. Hop in there, see what it's like. Come say hi. Be happy to have you, Eric. I look forward to you someday launching your options product.
Yeah, but not yet.
Just teasing us forever.
Yeah, not yet.
But until then, I'm sure it'll be great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Hopefully with the market higher. I think the market will be higher. I think the vibes will be a little bit better. I think people will be happy, and then we'll see what happens from there.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks, buddy. Have a good one.